Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, guys, welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and we have Mark Apostolos from the firm. And as you know, I'm going to mess it up. Sullivan, Papain, Block, McGrath, Kafinas, and Canavo.
Yeah.
Canavo, excuse me. Okay.
That's all right.
Welcome to the show, and I apologize for messing that up. The law firms are way too long.
The name is very long, and we usually just end up getting referred to as Sullivan Papain. So.
Oh, Sullivan Papain. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see a lot of these firms now are shortening it, even though they have lots of other partners. They kind of pick a couple to make it easier.
Yeah, it's easier, right? Calling up and people call up, and in court when you're yelling it out, people always yell Sullivan Papain. Not that we're in court anymore doing that, but that's what we used to do.
Got it. All right, excellent. Well, good. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So just to keep with the theme of the show here, Latte with a Lawyer, what's your favorite morning beverage to get you going?
It's pretty simple. I just take my coffee with a tiny little bit of half and half, and that's it. Very simple.
Excellent. Good. Simple is good. So tell us about the kind of law that you practice.
Yeah, sure. I do personal injury and medical malpractice, all on the plaintiff side.
Okay.
So that is obviously representing people who have been injured or wronged and injured in malpractice cases.
Excellent. And is that what the firm does completely? Is it all plaintiff work?
Yeah, it's entirely a plaintiff practice. We have multiple different departments that deal with various types of personal injury and plaintiff cases. Obviously we have just a general negligence unit that handles cases that are motor vehicle premise kind of cases, construction accidents. We also are actually general counsel to the Uniform Firefighter Association. So we represent a lot of firefighters in firefighter related accidents and injuries. And that's handled by a separate unit that specializes in those types of cases because they are kind of nuanced. And then we also have obviously dedicated units as to malpractice, and then product liability, and we are also doing, we do quite a bit of product liability, but we've been doing victim compensation fund, the 9/11 cases.
I was going to ask you that. It sounded like
for a long time, since 9/11.
Yeah. Okay. Well, when you said the fire, I had a feeling that it was probably related to 9/11.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, initially when all these cases started coming about following 9/11, the firm actually represented a large amount of the firefighters and first responders in a pro bono fashion. Just in our capacity as with our relationship with the firefighter union. But now, and those cases are still going on, and they've evolved a bit. They're more, they're obviously less acute in as far as the time situation, but they're oftentimes much more sad kind of cases because they're cancer cases that have developed from all the dust and debris and everything that people inhaled that were down in that area. So,
yeah. No, I know it's been an ongoing battle, but looks like there's been a little bit of relief lately. Finally,
yes.
Right?
Yes, there has been. I think there was. I don't work in that unit per se, but I know peripherally what goes on, and we've been very involved in trying to ensure that there has been funding for these people that are still being affected, and firefighters that are still dealing with debilitating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there a lot of firms that are helping that cause?
No, there's not that many. I mean, we're certainly one of the two big ones that were handling all these cases. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of lawyers that handled one or two all types of types of these cases, but for the most part, I would say we ended up getting, a lot of them just because of our relationship and our reputation, and as far as the way that we treat firefighters, first responders, police officers and stuff like that. And obviously our office is right there.
Where's the office? Lower Manhattan?
20 Broadway.
Oh, 20 Broadway. Got it.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was very close to home for everybody. Sure. And yeah, it's still going on. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Interesting, not in a good way, but yeah, I remember that day very clearly.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's burned into everyone's mind, and it's, you remember where you were on that time when you found out, right?
I do.
So, yeah, it's never forget, right? I mean,
yeah, never forget. I used to be part of a business where we sold into Wall Street. Spent a lot of time in New York, and that morning I was actually going into Philadelphia, and people had called me and asked me if I was going to New York that day. No, what happened? And anyway, is obviously the rest is history, but that was quite a day. Normally I would have got into the World Trade Center at exactly at that time had I been going into Manhattan that day.
Yeah. I mean, it's to be quite honest with you, I get the chills just thinking about it.
Oh, I just got them too, thinking about it. I agree.
I think about the memorial that's down over there, which is, I mean, I think it's beautiful. I mean, it really is just something, and it's just, it just gives you you can't imagine how big these buildings were.
Oh yeah.
That's terrible. Yeah, it really is. It's a very sad day.
Sad day, but at least there's a memorial and we've recovered from it. So
yeah, absolutely. Yes.
So what kind of cases, like what's your typical case that you work on, if there is one?
Yeah, I mean, so I primarily I do I'm in the personal injury, general negligence type of field. So I'm doing largely construction accidents.
Okay.
And I do a handful of motor vehicle cases and premise liability types of cases, which are, the fairly standard, trip and fall, slip and fall types of cases on properties. But I do trials, which, and I'll try, or I'll get assigned to try personal injury cases as well as malpractice cases.
Yep.
And so I certainly have experience with malpractice, and I've handled quite a few malpractice cases in itself alone, but primarily my practice has been in that personal injury, general negligence.
And construction. Is there still a lot of construction going on in the city these days?
Yeah, there is. I mean, there it's been a bit of a weird time.
Yeah.
Obviously since the pandemic has happened, but I think it's picking up. The demand for residential construction seems to be outpacing any commercial office construction, because it seems like the days of 5 days a week in the office are kind of not really there anymore, or at least many companies are having people come back, but maybe a couple of days a week. So
yeah.
But certainly people want to still live in the city.
Yes.
So I think that they're continuing to build residential buildings.
Where's the residential construction happening?
I mean, there's still stuff going on over in like the upper or on the west side.
West side, yeah.
Yeah, and in north of or I want to say, what is it? It's not Times Square area, but it's west and north over there near the Javits Center and
Columbus
I'm trying
Circle.
to think of the name of that area, but it's escaping me right now. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on up over there. And from what I understand, or at least I haven't seen any cases come from it yet, but from what I understand, they're actually converting buildings from office to residential.
Oh.
So there's going to be big renovation that we are expecting to happen from that.
Oh, interesting. I mean, more of the space will be more like flex space, right? Mixed use where there'll be, right,
Yeah, I think
workspace,
so.
residential, yeah.
I think that's what's happening, and there's always a demand for lower cost residential buildings in Manhattan and in the city. I mean, it's just, the rents are just very high, so.
Yeah.
you can
What about
have a
Hoboken? You
big-
said you live in Hoboken. I mean, what's it like there these days? That can't be inexpensive either.
It's gotten really, it's kind of gotten a little bit out of hand expensive in terms of, since the pandemic's happened and there's just no supply.
Right.
There's no apartments to rent. Or minimal, in comparison to the amount of people looking for them. I haven't personally been involved, but I've heard of people, they're bidding on rent. I mean, it's like, it seems
Yeah.
crazy. But I guess that's what's going on.
Well, I like hearing that people are still want to be in the city and it's coming back and it's going to thrive. I mean, that's important.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's a good thing. Yeah, hopefully, the pace keeps up and people, want to continue living here and in the city area. I mean, there's, city has its downside, but it's also got a lot of positives too.
Oh yeah. It's the engine. It's really is the economic engine.
Yeah.
New York's really important. No question about it. So how'd you get into this? I mean, how did you become a lawyer? What was that path like?
I was in college and I really didn't know what I wanted to do following college, and I think it hinged on my father was trying to persuade me to do a job that was quote unquote a profession. He not being necessarily professional, although he's been, I think he's been fairly successful. He never went to college or anything like that, and he, felt that it would be good for me to get into a job where I would have mobility and be able to, have some sort of professional degree, so to speak. So I was thinking law school. I certainly wasn't smart enough to be a doctor. I went to law school. I had no idea what type of law job I wanted to do. And I stumbled across moot court and realized that I had enjoyed arguing with my friends and my family for my life, for the time, for my lifetime, and it it was a good fit, I think, and I also realized I got a bit of an adrenaline rush from doing that type of work, and it was something that sparked my interest, and that led me down the road of wanting to do trials and being on the ground litigating, I was interested, and then I started looking, okay, how do I do this type of job in real life? And there was really few options. First one, going to the district attorney's office, where you get to do a lot of trials and get to be hands-on. But in the private practice, personal injury is really where you get to do the most trials. So that's kind of where I was hoping to end up, and I was fortunate enough to get an internship at this firm, and I've been working there ever since.
Oh, this is the only firm you've been. Okay.
I've only had one job. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Good. And you're happy there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Excellent.
I mean, every job has got its its shortcomings, I guess, and so to speak. But I mean, I like this firm. I think we do really good work. We really take care of our clients. We take a small amount of cases, and we are, for at least in comparison to what personal injury firms would traditionally take.
The larger cases, are you taking larger cases then?
Yeah, we try, we really, we screen our cases pretty heavily.
Okay.
And try to take a smaller amount of cases where we can really thoroughly litigate. and try and maximize each and every one of those cases, as opposed to, you know, different business models where you may take every case that comes in through the door, and you know, it works a little bit differently.
Interesting.
So,
how many lawyers are there that are doing this? How many in the firm?
I think there's about 30.
Okay. And how
There's
many
about
cases
30.
a year would you try or handle?
Trials. I mean, geez,
Well, not trials. How many cases a year would you handle?
handle at a time. Yeah, I mean, I would say the average caseload for I would say for a partner is probably 40 to 60 cases, somewhere around there.
It's a lot, 46 cases a year. So okay, it's a good amount.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, that's not per year, right? It's over the course of, you know, and they can end up, you know, they're different, you know, obviously different.
Well, they can drag out for
malpractice
years.
cases, you're probably going to handle a little bit less.
Yes.
Just because they're more complicated, but 40 to 50 cases will keep you pretty busy for sure. You know, they're obviously all on different time frames.
Sure.
So some are at the stage of trial, and some are at the stage of where you're just putting them into suit, and you know, you can balance them, you know, and but I think that, you know, having more than that, you know, you can end up getting lost in your cases when you're knee deep in litigation with
Yeah, sure. Is that typical caseload, do you think, for most PI attorneys?
I don't think so. I think that most of them would have a lot more cases.
A lot more.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't know for sure, you know, every firm would be different, but I would think that many firms would, or many attorneys would handle over 100 cases.
Okay.
And but you know, many of them will be much smaller cases that don't go into suit. So you know, you can do it, but if you're going to be handling, you know, 40 to 50 cases that are all in suit, and you're dealing with day-to-day litigation on every one of them in some respect.
Yeah. How many of those go to trial? Like out of the 40 to 60, like how many of those will go to trial?
Small amount.
Small amount.
Yeah, I mean, probably
5%.
Yeah, I would say probably 5, or, you know, maybe less. You know, you ultimately hope when you take a case in that, you know, I mean, you're taking it in because you think that it, you know, at least from our perspective, we believe that it's strong and it has merit.
Yep.
And so long as it's thoroughly and properly litigated, you hope to be able to resolve it. But at the same time, you got to be able to, you know, you got to be ready, willing, and able to try the case in order to uphold the reputation that, you know, that we will try this case, and you know, that, you know, if you don't want to pay us, we will try the case against you. So yeah, I mean, there's, you know, every year I have at least a case or two that ends up getting tried. And
oh, good. How do you prepare for those when you go to trial? How do you prepare? Get ready.
Well, I guess it depends if it's the case that if it's a case that I've handled from the beginning, or if it's somebody else's case in the office, because you know, I sometimes get handed cases to get tried that are not mine, that I haven't worked up. Those will take a lot more time initially just to get up to speed on the case. And you know, the first thing that I would do in that case is go and talk to the lawyer that worked it up, and you know, get the lay of the land, and then start diving into the file and reading everything first. You know,
I guess I'm thinking more like tactically, like, you know, do you guys use focus groups, mock trials, jury consultants? How do you make sure that your argument is rock solid and you're going to maximize the outcome?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I mean, we haven't typically used any of those tools, but what certainly goes on is a lot of discussion within the office.
Within the office, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and you know, I think every lawyer that is trying cases in our office which is part of the reason why, you know, we are all back in the office, is because you're encouraged to talk to each other and, you know, bounce off arguments as to, you know, which way it would go, and
Yep.
And try and you know, flush out what what the defense is gonna say and how to deal with it, and then, you know, I will sometimes talk to my friends about it before I'm trying the case and see what they think about stuff, you know, too. I mean, it's just, you know, you want to know how somebody may react to something, and how they may initially feel about things, because sometimes, you know, I mean, trying cases in front of juries, you learn pretty quickly that juries don't see cases the same way that lawyers do, and they are oftentimes looking at things that are not always what the two lawyers are battling about.
So what are those things? I'm curious, like, where do you go wrong? Like, where if you don't win, or you don't get what you think you should get, like, where does it go wrong with the jury? What are the biggest challenges?
Yeah, I think that some of the things that, you know, unfortunately end up, and I say unfortunately because, you know, in a perfect world, we would have the case tried solely on whether or not the defendant is liable, you know, in the cases I'm trying, and solely on whether or not the person is injured, and you know,
based on facts.
Yeah, right? Based on the facts. But, you know, obviously we're all human, and I think that juries, just like everybody, ends up judging people, and they also judge the lawyers too. You know, I think that they, you know, whether they like and obviously believe the plaintiff is a very big deal to them, because at the end of the day, they have to want to award the money. And you know, so having some, you know, it can be difficult for the trial lawyer when the client is difficult or not open to listening to your suggestions about the way that they should go about doing certain things, because you know, you're trying to make them as likable as possible, because you want them to have every advantage, and I think that, you know, as simple as it may sound, that is a really big X factor, and I think it's an X factor for the lawyers too. You know, I personally had experiences where I think that you know, the defense lawyer has been very aggressive and not pleasant, and you know, and I think that if they're not careful, it can come through as being not a nice guy, you know, or woman, or whatever it is, and you know, and I think the jury can see that. And they can.
You think that matters?
That, and they can hurt you if they don't like you. So, you know, I think those types of things matter, and perception means a lot, I think.
So what's your technique to make sure that you're likable and believable and trustworthy?
I mean, you know, I just from the start of jury selection, you know, in New York, you know, we select jurors, and we have quite a bit of time with them to talk, and really that's kind of where the trial starts, as opposed to many other states where a judge picks a jury, or even in federal court where the judge picks a jury. You know, in New York, we really have an opportunity to talk to the jurors initially.
Oh, to most
outside
states,
the presence of a judge.
Yeah, do most states allow that voir dire where you get?
From what I understand, no. I practice in New Jersey, and the voir dire is different here.
It is.
And you know, the judge oversees it, and you're able to ask very limited amounts of questions.
Okay.
And you know, you can't really get into real discussion with some of the jurors, and you know, and in New York you can get much more of a feel for who they are, and I think they also get a feel for who you are.
Sure.
Right? So so from the start, I tried my very best to, you know, to be likable and open to what they have to say, no matter what it is, whether it's something that they are, you know, they hate personal injury lawsuits, or the opposite. You know, and I you know, I do my best to, you know, never to dismiss anybody, or you know, or be, you know, just or offensive or anything, obviously, but but you know, I mean, and everybody has their own kind of technique, I guess, when doing that. But I just, you know, I try to be myself as much as I can, and and try to let everybody know that, I got a job and I have to prove the case to you. And I tell them from the very beginning, if I don't prove the case to you, you should throw my case out. And that's what the judge will tell you, basically the same thing in more legal fashion, but that's the gist of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend the trial proving to you what I believe happened in this case, and try to establish some credibility and let them know that at the end of the day I'm doing my job, and I have to do what I think is best and advocate too. And I may be aggressive when cross-examining a witness. That's not because I don't like them. It's just because I want to make sure that something is pointed out to you, and that that the truth is, or that what my version of the truth comes out. So that's kind of where it starts a little bit.
Yeah. No, interesting. Very interesting. So, all right. Well, listen, this has been very interesting. And if somebody wants to reach you and learn more about your practice, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, certainly they can find me on LinkedIn.
Yep.
I'm on there. They can email me. I don't think there's many other Mark Apostoluses. So.
Oh, really? That's
for good or bad, I don't know. So you could probably search me online and find my contact information pretty quick on our firm's website. And obviously, you can call me at the office too, and I'm there every day. So
excellent, good. Well, good. It's been a pleasure to spend time with you. Again, this is Mark Apostolos from I'm not going to say the whole thing. Sullivan Papain in New York.
Yes.
And this is sponsored by EmotionTrac. EmotionTrac is it's a legal tech platform that uses AI to pick up nonverbal insights that lawyers like you use for case prep to prepare for trial and mediations.
Okay.
So excellent. Thanks a lot, Mark.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Bye.